it's gotten to the point though now where the Olympics are a especially the Summer Olympics, are a multi-billion-dollar undertaking, and the underlying premise is that that the value is exploded, right? I mean, then why would I go from $8 million in a rights deal to X billion dollars in a rights deal if it wasn't but for the fact that there's more value to be extracted or obtained from it. I've been thinking, because just in terms of risk and opportunity, to the degree to which the Olympics deals are akin to the sports stadium deals, where it's very good for a small group of people to have this large event or this large series of events, but it's sold to the public as a public asset. The taxpayer is going to pay for the football stadium. The taxpayer is going to pay to clean up the river in Paris, or the taxpayer is going to pay to build housing or whatever. The Olympic Village is going to be converted into condos for whoever and whatever. And there's been increasing debate and criticism around sports stadium deals. So I'm gonna sort of lay that in adjacent to this Olympics discussion. I'm interested in your perspective on the use of public dollars and public assets to support these multi-billion-dollar private sporting events, with the Olympics being the ultimate example, but not the only example, and the degree to which that idea even holds merit, or whether this is actually some sort, basically an exploitation of the rich over the taxpayer, where the rich people that own the rights to the thing, where they own the sports stadium or whatever they own, or they own the Olympics, or they own the rights to the Olympics, get basically a taxpayer subsidy, whether it's the French taxpayer or whoever, to that is a manipulation, exploitation, and that there really is no social benefit to Paris or to Barcelona or to Lake Placid or Los Angeles or whoever.
Yeah, it's crazy interesting, because the Olympics have clearly spun out of control, because the value that they added to Lake Placid, I'm sure lasted for decades, but the value that they might add to Paris or LA or whatever else it's very different nowadays. Now it is literally a transaction. I can tell you that a couple of years ago, when Chicago was trying to host the Summer Olympics, the city was very divided over whether or not we should have the Olympics here, because people were saying, oh, the traffic's going to be horrible, it's going to ruin our whole summer, just to build out all this crap, it's going to bankrupt us, all this stuff. And
just the traffic alone.
Just the traffic alone, right?
Whether it's Paris, Chicago would be a disaster.
London. Yeah. Well, London, already the traffic's so bad. Chicago, the traffic is already bad. Still, I was a huge proponent of bringing the Olympics to Chicago. I thought it would be really important to putting this city on a different level. Bringing it to where I think it should be, among the greatest cities in the world. And I thought that it was important to let everybody else in the world see how beautiful Chicago is, and what an amazing city this is. So I thought it was super important, and I was 100% in favor of it. I didn't care if it meant.
But so give me the three, like in a simple summary, the three reasons the Summer Olympics are good for Chicago, or in your mind, if you're at the city council meeting.
Well, I'm a huge fan of content marketing, as you can tell from the businesses we build. And sure. I felt like the Olympics was the ultimate in content marketing. I think people discount how important it is to have the rest of the world know about you. It's a combination from the way people invest. Like when we first started building businesses in Chicago, even private equity firms were like, Chicago, it's the Midwest. This is only 25 years ago. And they're like, they're like, listen, we do things on the East Coast, we do things on the West Coast, but we don't do things there is no technology in Chicago. There's no, all this garbage. And as it turned out, 25 years later, some of the best tech companies in the world, especially fintech companies, virtually every one of them started in Chicago. And so, and then all the private equity firms realized that, and all the money came flowing in. There is an incredible impact to long-term economy and growth of the city and things like that when you are able to market your city in a very effective way. And I think that the Olympics, I believed, at least at the time, that that's what the Olympics would have done for Chicago. Paris has a bigger challenge, because Paris already has, is already like a bigger destination on a global scale. This is the most beautiful
it's probably
city.
the most, isn't it the #1 tourist destination?
Yeah.
It's probably the single most popular tourist city on earth.
It is. And it's, and so they had the exact opposite concern, which I think was valid, which is this going to hurt our reputation? And you've heard a lot of negativity with respect to, there's been a lot of positives too, but there's also been a lot of negativity, so I'm not sure how it's gone as a net PR experiment or as content marketing. I think for Chicago, just like for Lake Placid, it would have been incredibly valuable. Now, that said, what is the Olympics in 2024? I mean, how necessary are the Olympics? Do we really
You're saying in a world that's content saturated, you mean, because the content universe is so saturated?
The content universe is saturated. There was something special about either amateur athletes or there was something that was very genuine about seeing somebody who had never made a dime. It's different when you have a basketball team when every player on the team makes $50 million a year and flies their private jet over. It's different. There are sports, clearly, women's rugby, where you're watching it for the first time going, oh my God, these guys are, these people are good. These women can run you over. They're monsters. This is great to watch, and they don't make any money, and that's cool. And other sports too, like swimming and gymnastics. There's no money in that other than marketing money, unless you look like Livy Dunn or whatever it is. There's nothing.
Sure.
There's nothing there.
There's no economy there.
There's no economy there. And there's a million other sports like that too, which are super cool to watch. To watch people get paid for all their hard work and at least earn accolades for all their. That is cool. I just wonder on a global scale, how important are the Olympics anymore? I don't know. I mean, it's entertainment. It's good entertainment.
Do they create value, in your opinion? They obviously create value for the people that buy the rights and sell it as content. From the entertainment perspective, I just don't know whether they create value for Paris at long term. But because the argument is always that there's a huge value proposition for the city itself after the fact.
Well,
because they're going to have housing or whatever.
The answer to the question is, if you don't think it creates value, then you don't bid for it. If there's still, I'm a free market freak, and if there's 5 cities or 10 cities bidding for the Olympics, then they create value, or at least you believe you can create value from them. So there must be something there. So the answer to that question is, if nobody wanted to host the Olympics, then the Olympics are dead. Then they don't create any value. Then if you have to pay somebody to host the Olympics, then it's not worth it. But, obviously, just like, people want to host the World Cup, people want to host the golf tournament, people want to host different things. They must find value in it. And so, who are we to say that it doesn't seem like it's worth it? I don't know. I assume yes.
Well, what of the idea that the value is created for a select group that makes a fortune, whether it's hotel owners or whoever else, but that it is at the expense of the general population, like a stadium deal? And I don't even know what your opinion of the stadium deals is, or whether you think that holds merit. That there's basically winners and losers.
I know, and I'm very mixed on stadium deals too, because like we're going through this in Chicago right now. I want the Bears to stay in the city of Chicago. The stadium right now is on the lakefront. It's right in the city. I do not want them to move to the suburbs and move an hour away. And I think that hurts the economy of the city. I do think that the taxpayers and the state should contribute along with the owners. Listen, these owners are multi-billionaires because of the value of these teams now. They might not have been when they bought the team, but they are now. They should have skin in the game, as well as the Chicago economy benefits from the Bears being in Chicago. Paris is going to benefit no matter what from the Olympics being in Paris. Way more people, if they ever thought about going to Paris, are now like, hey, you know what? That looked really cool. I want to see it. They're going to go to Paris. Everybody's going to benefit from that. I do believe there are huge benefits from the Olympics being in Paris. And if it inconveniences people for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 2 months, so be it.
So ultimately, you're a pro Olympics guy. I mean, let's just cut to the bottom line here, because there's always the talk of the hangover, right? Where
Yeah,
there's
sure.
a huge
Of course.
investment.
Of course.
Unlike a stadium, which is a continuous event, in the case of the Olympics, there's a huge expenditure and a huge expectation, and then it all goes away.
Yes. If I was the mayor of Chicago, I would be like, I'm all in. Yes. So I am a proponent. I'm all in.
How do you, when people say, oh, well, they say they promised all this housing for Barcelona or whatever, all the sort of empty promises.
Sure.
In other words, that's just the price of
yeah.
That's just the price of the undertaking.
Yeah. There's always people, we have politicized everything, and people are always going to bitch no matter what, no matter how good a deal it is, no matter how great, it turns out 5 or 10 years from now, people are going to complain, hey, they took my parking spot. Hey, you know what? My rent went up, whatever it is. But the reality is, in the end, you get to talk about this city into perpetuity because the Olympics were there. I mean, if you play your cards right, there is a very powerful, you can basically, there's a coattail effect. And I think it lasts for a long period of time. Would I have gone to Barcelona last year if the Olympics were there? I don't know. Maybe not. There's definitely places, that I for sure wouldn't have gone to if the Olympics weren't there. Maybe that has something to do with it. But regardless, it puts you on the map. It's very powerful marketing. Sometimes we lose sight of the fact that we are marketing for corporate headquarters. We are marketing for tax revenue. We are marketing for lots of the only marketing you should have as a state or a city is, oh, we have lower taxes than some other city. That's ridiculous. That really bothers me. It bothers me that you say you should come here because we don't pay any tax. Yet we charge the other states that do pay state tax or city tax, whatever it is. We make sure that we get subsidies to cover that. It's ridiculous. Like, that should not be your marketing ploy. Your marketing ploy should be, hey, this is a great city for the following reasons, and here's why. And I think that the Olympics do that. It's a great piece of content marketing.
I just don't know that the tax dollars, like, who benefits from that content marketing? Like, why should the taxpayer pay for that? Like, shouldn't that then come from the Chamber of Commerce or, the local business?
Sure.
I guess,
Sure. I mean, what benefits from it is listen, it's very hard to see the immediate benefit to you, somebody who pays property tax. But the benefit is that if your city is economically strong, like if you have a diverse economy, and if your city is economically strong, you have the arts, you have sports, you have arts, you have vibrant businesses, you have a vibrant downtown, you have beautiful architecture, you have all the things of why people want to come visit you. You know what? If you don't have that, your city goes to shit. And you know what? You have vacant storefronts, you have crime, you have drugs, you have everything that you don't want to have. If you want to have a strong economy inside of your city, that's what you have to do. You have to market your city. That's what good mayors do. That's what good governors do. That's what good city governments do. And you know what? I think people appreciate that. There's a reason people want to live in Chicago. It's more expensive to live in Chicago. It's more expensive to live in New York. It's more expensive to live in LA, but people like to live there in those cities.
And you're saying that's a function of basically that the Olympics comes down to marketing the city, which comes down to marketing and preserving property values. Well, I'm just thinking of the pitch to the taxpayer.
Yes.
I mean,
that is a lot of it. That's why cities vie so hard for like everything from, that's why we want the Super Bowl in our city, because even on a one-day event, adds billions of dollars to the economy and highlights the economy. That's why they fight so hard for Super Bowls, even US Open golf tournaments or, whatever it is. That's why you want your sports team. That's why you want the World Series or the NBA championship to be in your city. That's why it's so important. People say, I don't want to pay a penny for that stadium. I don't want to put any money into this. I don't go to any games or whatever it is. That's not what it is. We all have an obligation to keep our cities vibrant and healthy, and the economies, booming, create jobs and everything else, and get people to move back into the cities. It's important. This country is built around its cities.
And the Olympics, you think, is key to marketing cities as a thing?
Well, I think it is the biggest event based on cost, based on the amount that they charge for that 2 weeks or 2 weeks or longer. Sure. Is it the only answer? No. But if you gave me the choice, would you rather have the Olympics here or not? I would say yes every time.
Is there anything that would change your mind? I mean, I guess obviously price, but it's one of those things that's not really a meaningful. So ultimately, the Olympics are worth the trouble, is your bottom line.
I would argue that, I mean, listen, I know lots of people would argue that it's not, but as long as every time you see the Olympics come up and they're saying, where are we going to hold the Olympics in 8 years or 12 years? And every city throws their hat in the ring. There's a reason for that. They know how valuable it is. They might try to downplay it in the media, and they might try to say, the locals are going to be like, oh, you know what? I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. The reality is long-term health of your city and your area. Yes, it's very valuable.
What would be, but you're saying the evidence is just distributed across space, like the fact that New York, Chicago, LA are more popular than Albuquerque, Milwaukee, and Cleveland. Like that at the end of the day, it's not a specific value proposition so much as it is a halo of status for being either first tier or second tier, first class or second class as a city.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably, whatever there is in America, there's probably 10 Super Bowl cities, as we call them, cities capable of hosting a Super Bowl. There's probably 4 or 5 cities capable of hosting a World Cup, and there's probably 3 or 4 cities capable of hosting an Olympics. And and when you think about it, yeah, it's important. And in most countries, there's only one city.